Welcome, everyone. This is SatiSeva, and my name is Julia, and I would like to share with you a sentiment of metta, loving kindness, as, as an anchor for our practice today. This is a beautiful piece of art from one of our community members. There are many artists in this community, and sometimes they send me cards or small little paintings knowing that I'm going to chop them up into these smaller pieces and write sentiments of metta, loving kindness, on the back. This one reads, "May you remember how rare it all is. May you remember how rare it all is." And that includes each of us. And I'd like to take a moment and just invite you into this awareness in terms of rarity. And that is that you are, in this manifestation, in this moment, the only you that will ever be. This is it. It's amazing. It's so rare. It's also amazing and rare that you have decided to explore recovering your whole self using Buddhist practices and principles like mindfulness. And if you don't believe me, I'll just share a quick statistic for you. 50 million people in the United States of America are diagnosed with a substance use disorder. That does not include the thousands and thousands of people who aren't diagnosed but have substance use disorders. Only 7.5 million people ever actively seek treatment. And there are lots of reasons why people don't seek treatment. Access to treatment is shrinking while costs for treatment are rising. But the statistic is sobering because that means more than 40 million people are living their lives untreated, uncared for, trying to navigate what happens when intoxicants enter the body and ravage the mind and spirit. So we have prioritized recovering our whole selves. It is so rare to do that. And it's even rarer to find mindfulness, Buddhist practices, as a way of awakening the mind and the heart in very gentle, compassionate, loving, kind ways. So your presence here is unique and exceptional. And I mention this not because I'm trying to instill a sense of superiority. I'm simply trying to remind you that your effort here is extraordinary simply by showing up. And as we step into the Buddhist practice, one of the things that we devote ourselves to as mindfulness practitioners is we're not doing this just for ourselves. We're not doing this to make ourselves feel better. We're not doing this to feel superior. We're not doing this to become holier than thou. We're doing this because we recognize the vast majority of people don't have access to it. And so we're here on behalf of them. And by virtue of our own efforts to heal and to gain access to understanding and compassion, we extend that into the world. Your effort here today could save someone's life. Your effort here today could be the invitation for someone else to step into some kind of care. Your effort here today could invite someone into realizing their own worthiness and wholesomeness. Your effort here today is profound. Today, in our practice, I'm going to read for you from the chapter of the mindfulness practice of ambivalence. This is chapter 4 in the SatiSeva book. And we're going to read a section called Sacred Paradox and Taking Stock. And this is on page 83 if anyone is following along at home. And we're exploring the notion of ambivalence. And what we reviewed last time, ambivalence is such a curious topic because ambivalence is not indifference, although it can feel that way sometimes. Ambivalence has qualities of indecisiveness and a sense of being unsettled. Ambivalence has a spirit of the ambiguous. And the ironic. Ambivalence, when I think of the times that I've been ambivalent, I'm often feeling, meh. And what ambivalence tells me over and over and over again as an experience is I need to take a break. I've been working at something too hard. I've been grinding for long enough. And I need to put something down and shift my attention. So today, we're going to shift our awareness to sacred paradox and an instrument of peace that I call taking stock. Ambivalence provides the heart and mind space to delve into the paradoxical nature of reality. Any opportunity to explore the divine nature of how pairs of opposites live within us is an invitation to truly understand oneself. This process of understanding is a sacred one with a capacity to reach far and wide. When you understand how both good and bad, for instance, are alive in you, you begin to see the potential for good and bad in everything and in everyone. Ambivalence creates openings for this exploration. Apathy closes every door to inquiry and shuts every window, pulling the blinds and curtains tight. While ambivalence may lack clarity regarding how to channel support and care, apathy doesn't give a hoot. Ambivalence is non-dualistic and prefers the gray zone. Apathy is strictly black or white. Ambivalence is a normal, healthy part of the journey for both those with substance use disorders and those who care for them. Apathy is a state of hopeless neglect. Ambivalence is a vital quality that signals the up and down aspects of motivation and encouragement, which both lead to and support change. Ambivalence allows space for boredom and blah, meh, moodiness, as much as it allows space for eagerness and enthusiasm. We feel motivated on some days and not on others, a curiosity known by virtually everyone. However, many people suffer because they are attached to a fixed idea that change should look a certain way. That attachment exists as an exaggeration about what will bring happiness. When the change we anticipate or expect does not happen, the mind, in its rigidity, has a tendency to create a story suggesting what is happening is wrong and should be avoided or rejected. In this constricted view, motivation plummets. Think about a time in your life where you tried to change a habit for 30 days. Chances are it was not a straightforward experience. You probably had some solid days and some wobbly ones too. Days of moving forward and days when you fell back into habit energy without telling anyone. It is so hard to admit when we falter. Yet, no matter whether you made 30 days or not, the experiences, when reviewed all together, likely initiated some kind of shift within. It is important to look deeply at this. I call it taking stock. This is an instrument of peace through which we tenderly gaze and understand what unfolded. The intention is to look at everything, the significant aspects and those details we easily dismiss, the things we feel embarrassed and humiliated by, and those we feel proud of. For instance, people often fail to recognize that getting out of bed, practicing basic hygiene, and doing a little socializing is a significant achievement. Many people in the world cannot get out of bed for all kinds of reasons. Having the capacity to do so is enormous. Take stock of your ability to get out of bed and greet the day when you can. Take stock of the way you care for or neglect yourself. You might discover something valuable. Take stock of the tone in your voice throughout the day. Notice the conditions that evoke a soft tone versus a harsher one. Do not let anything slip past your gentle awareness. Over time, we realize that we endure various shifts throughout our days and even hours. When we practice taking stock, ambivalence has space to recognize the natural fluctuations in motivation, which softens the edges of our anxious thinking that can make our perspectives tight and rigid. In the 10 years that I have been part of the recovery community as a facilitator, as a Kalyana Mitra, wise friend, as a support person, it is extraordinary to me to meet people both in recovery or people who are in more supportive roles experiencing very similar things. One of them is the idea, the inflated and distorted idea that the person with a substance use disorder, the person with negative habit energy, should be other than where they are. For the person who is experiencing the negative habit energy, this inflation and this distortion is often such an incredible place to examine motivation. Sometimes we want to and we expect ourselves to be farther along because we're just so tired of where we are. And we just want to use that drive to get us to a different place. The suffering comes in when we use that drive with harshness, aggression, and hostility, oh, I just need to get going. I need to be better. And just, why am I fumbling? I should know better. I should do better. I should be better. As opposed to, this is where I am. This is where I want to be. What's the next wise step? What's the next wise thing? And can I take stock of where I've been? And in this moment, how much better I already am? And can I use that as motivating energy to propel me forward? For people in the supportive role who are projecting, my loved one should be doing better, they should know better, they should never have a recurrence, and so on, it often reflects a terrible lack of information about the reality of negative habit energy and the way it unfurls and unfolds in an individual's life. And it's stoked by social narratives. You know, a person decides to quit and they should just quit, and that's the end of it, right? And in very traditional programs, that person is often lauded as the gold star. You know, you decide to quit and you never look back. Well, that represents a very small percentage of people who are working with various negative habit energies. For most people, it's a decision to quit. It's an experimentation for a period of time. It's a recurrence, and it's an understanding of the conditions of the recurrence. It's working toward more sobriety and more abstinence. It's a very, very fluid, highly personal and complex process. And so the expectations of those who are bearing witness also would benefit from some encouragement, a reality check, and a taking stock practice. It's also important for the support person to stay well boundaried so that individual can keep looking at themselves. So, for instance, when I'm looking at my loved ones and I find myself projecting, God, why are they still in this place? I really thought they were farther along. I was hoping they were farther along. I'm wishing they're farther along, and they're not. Some of that belongs to my loved one. Most of it belongs to me. Where did that expectation come from? How does that expectation make me feel? What are those emotions being stirred up in my cauldron? Have I even bothered to look at them? Or is my focus on my loved one? Ambivalence says, Julia, darling, take your gaze off your loved one. Take a break from looking over at their space and what they're doing, and come into your space, your boundaried space. Come into your balaklohe and look at what's trying to get your attention here in your own inner landscape. Take a break. Take stock. Look deeply. Can you notice the good things and the bad things? Can you notice the positives and the negatives? Look at your anger. Look at your joy. Look at your compassion. Look at your regret, and so on. And when you're done looking, or if you feel overwhelmed, tired, fatigued by it, put it all down. find something else to do. So, for our practice today, what I'd like to do is create some space in the mind and in the heart for you to explore activities that you enjoy. What are some things that you enjoy? So, in the quiet of this space, just allow the thoughts to pop in. You know, we have Sangha members who doodle while they come to these meetings. It's such a beautiful way to practice. We have community members who play musical instruments. Another beautiful way to practice. Maybe one of the activities that really nurtures you is to take a nap and to sort of receive this wisdom and this Dharma offering sort of just through that unconscious channel as you slip in and out of consciousness while you're napping. What a beautiful way to practice. There are community members that are very athletic and active, and we go on walks all over nature. What a wonderful opportunity to take a break. There are other community members who are a little bit homebound, and it's harder for them to leave their homes. And so maybe just gazing out the window or writing a letter or an email or tending to some house plants, anything. Let your imagination have a joyful wander at some activities that you enjoy, or maybe some activities that you've often thought about pursuing, but kind of talked yourself out of it. Well, you know, I don't know if I really can do that. I don't know if I'm going to be good at that. And this is an opportunity to use ambivalence as a reminder that anytime you start something new, part of the invitation is to joyfully suck at it. Be terrible at it, joyfully. Just, wow, I am terrible at this. I wouldn't know how to center a glob of clay on a wheel. I mean, I'd probably have to do that 100 times before I really got it right. So I know for a fact that me and pottery is going to be an interesting partnership. I learned one of the activities I have brought into my life is I'm a novice apiarist. I'm a novice beekeeper. And I'm really not great at it yet because I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm showing up to it joyfully and joyfully embracing how clueless I am. And remember, friends, in this time, time here is an ally. Time here is a friend, a great support. So, in this time, use the breath as an anchor, as a way of bringing the mind. If the mind starts to wander into danger zones, into bleaker corners of your landscape, bring it back. Bring your attention back to the brighter, more developed parts of your inner landscape, the places that you've nurtured. Come back to that for this practice. and notice what's coming up for you. And invite everything to be present and invite its presence to be perfect, just as it is, just as you are. And enjoy these moments of silence and the way your wisdom and your inner knowing comes alive in you. Friends, there's a wonderful YouTube page called, I think it's called Put the Shovel Down. And it's by a therapist who is really well versed in the trials and tribulations of recovery. And what I love about the invitation to put down the shovel, it's the same idea as the spaciousness of ambivalence. Like at some point, we've just got to stop, put the hammers down, put the bright lights down. You know, we are still working on our recovery. We are still addressing negative habit energy, maladaptive coping, really harmful behaviors, and so forth. Yes, by putting down the effort for a little bit doesn't mean we're abandoning it altogether. We're giving ourselves a break. We're allowing the mind and the heart to breathe. We're restoring the nervous system. We're just remembering that recovery is a whole body, whole spiritual experience. It includes the whole of our lives, which also means access to joy, things that bring us pleasure, things that bring us happiness, activities that remind us who we were, who we are, and who we've yet to become. Go gently, friends, in this exploration and enjoy. Give yourself permission to enjoy it. Because remember, it's all so very rare and precious. You know, one of the applications for this idea of ambivalence, this idea of taking a break, is this notion that's very popular in sort of the history of recovery. It's been part of the social narrative, part of the social belief, part of the social construct that we just have to be working at it all the time. And that if we have any pleasure or any joy, somehow that's a betrayal to the hardship and the harm that we may have done or have affected other people. And this is why sacred paradox is so important, is in the one hand, there's all this maladaptive behavior that has produced harm and regret and so forth. And on the other hand, in the other hand is joy and pleasure and the sacredness of being alive and having this opportunity to look at the maladaptive behavior, heal it, and do something new and different. Both exist. And then when we bring our hands together, that is sort of this sacred act, right? To remind us that I, yes, have all of these regrettable things, and I have this capacity for amazing things. And together, that's what makes me a whole sacred human being. And that's the part that's missing so much in our traditional language and our traditional approaches to recovery, which tend to lean toward the punitive and the puny, really. It really makes everything so puny. And this is where mindfulness and broadening and remembering that life is to be enjoyed. We don't have to just keep hammering at it with such pressure. Lo and I were chatting this morning about someone in my life who is grinding right now, and Lo gave me a wonderful analogy that, if you're driving from Spokane to New York City, and you just are the entire time you're driving telling yourself you need to be in New York City. I need to be in New York City. You'll miss the whole trip to the degree that you might run out of gas or not take care of your car or forget to go to the bathroom or forget to eat or whatever it is. And so mindfulness and ambivalence even reminds us, take a break, pull over. We're going to get there. Now, one of the things as a support person that can get tricky is we do witness people sort of in their lowest points and we care deeply. So we're going to jump the wall. We're going to get in everybody's space. We're going to try to fix the situation. We're going to try to help them. Of course we are. And sometimes that's a really necessary thing to do. And sometimes we stay too long in each other's space. And so it really is an important practice to learn to know when to exit, when to come back into one's own space. Furthermore, there's this judgment, there's this walking on eggshells. Do I ask? Don't I ask? I don't want to be too nosy. I don't want to make them upset. And again, these are all about having wise conversations. This is all about wise speech, which we're going to explore later on. That's in the book as well. It's nuanced, it's tender, and I must say it has to be guided by you, the practitioner. So just remember that most people aren't practicing. Most people don't have access to mindfulness. So if you want people to engage, then you have to model it, which is kind of hard sometimes. It's like, God, why do I have to do all the work? Why am I the one doing all the heavy lifting? Because you can, because you have the skill, because it matters. All righty, friends, I have a couple of announcements. The first is that we're going to close down this meeting. We're actually going to close down the classroom in the interim time between 12:30 and 1. Lo and I have some things that we need to do. But we meet again at 1 for our Recovery Dharma practice. But I won't be here. Michael is going to facilitate that meeting today. So you're all in beautiful hands. I mean, look at him. You're just going to be so cared for. And it's just going to be fantastic. So be sure to come. I know. Be sure to come back. I'm so bummed I'm going to miss it, but it'll be recorded and I can't wait. On Friday evening, 6 to 7:30, we're going to have a free community event that's in person and online with a nurse. I don't know if she's a nurse practitioner or not, but she's a nurse and a amazing psychiatric nurse, and she's going to talk all about the evidence-based practices with psilocybin. And so rather than get your information on YouTube influencers and TikTok, come get some evidence-based, medically oriented information on the effects of psilocybin. And that's Monday evening, and we'll be using this Zoom link and the flyers on our website. Please check out the Soul Center website for our Recovery Dharma practices Monday through Friday. We meet again on Sunday for SatiSeva, and we're going to continue this conversation on ambivalence. If you don't have the book of SatiSeva, you can order that through Soul Center. I'll send you a signed copy, and I gussy them all up and make them, when they arrive, you feel like you're getting a gift. Check out the website for all of our tokens of mindfulness. We've got T-shirts and stickers and sentiments of kindness cards, and then thank you for posting that, Lo. In October, first weekend of October, Lo and I are going to be in California. We're going to be in Oakland. And we're going to be presenting at the Buddhist Recovery Network practice, and I'm going to be teaching a workshop all about the balaklohe. And so that's pretty cool. I'm very excited to teach about that. The balaklohe is bala is stone, klohe is wall in Gaelic. And this is my imagery and my symbol, a beautiful Celtic stone wall as a way of cultivating healthy, sacred boundaries. It's a beautiful, beautiful image to have with one another. I think I've got everything right, Lo? Okay, let's go ahead and end our practice today with a dedication of merit. So we began our practice today with the sentiment of metta, reminding us that it's so rare, how rare it all is. And it's a curious thing that when we get locked into our relationship to negative habit energy and we really want to shift it, of course we do. We feel like shit, we want to feel better, and we just want to focus on it. And if we just stay with it forever and ever, maybe something will happen sooner than later. And unfortunately, life is a lot more organic and fluid than that. And so we have to learn to relax, put everything down once in a while, and remember that we are under the watchful gaze of the divine imagination. And so look up at the cosmos once in a while. Listen to Brian Cox, my favorite cosmologist. And he just blows my mind with what's happening out in the universe, how big it is, how unknowable it is, how unfathomable it is, how we've told stories since time immemorial to try to understand and assign meaning to what we can't possibly understand. And so it just renders us that the meaning of being here is to simply be here, exactly as we are, moment to moment to moment. The invitation in these practices is to learn to be here with less violence, harm, aggression, impulsivity, anger, so that we can cultivate more presence, joy, kindness, ease, peace, love. It is a practice, friends. And may we extend this practice to all beings everywhere. May they sense it like a warmth on their back, or through a refreshing drink of water, or from the smile of a stranger, or a little breath of fresh air. And for a moment, may they experience a little ease, all because of your practice and you in the world. Thank you for being here today, friends. Thank you for your beautiful practice. We'll see you next time. Namaste.